Okay, so welcome to Dorothy's Speed Shop, the home of motorcycle adventure down here in North Devon. It's also a work in progress. As you can see, it was an old abattoir and then turned into a car restoration place for 6 years. So it's a little bit dusty, a little bit dirty, but gradually just cleaning it up. And the idea is for it to just be a base for me to run some tours and also bring people down to do some riding down in North Devon, where we've got some great roads and scenery. I've got the fleet of Aussie post bikes that I'm taking people out on. But for me, the real growth market in the adventure sector is the small capacity of machines. I've done a lot of miles on a Royal Enfield Himalayan, and I really like that sort of lighter weight, more relaxed way of travel that those smaller bikes allow. So what I've done with the changing year that it's been is go out and buy 4 small capacity adventure bikes so that you can come down here, ride them all back to back and see which you prefer best. From left to right, we've got the Honda CRF 250 Rally, Royal Enfield Himalayan, KTM 390 Adventure, and last but not least, BMW 310 GS. All 4 bikes have got something very different going for them. They all offer a different style of riding, and they've all got different attributes, both positive and negative. So I'm just going to do a quick walk through of each bike, just to outline sort of my thoughts on each bike. Okay, so first and foremost, we've got the Honda CRF 250 Rally, a variant of the L version which came out quite a few years ago and has always been a really popular hit for budget travellers and trail riders alike. The Rally version was basically the cosmetic tart of it, giving it a bit of a screen, different headlights, Rally styling, a bit of a taller seat height, but still that same 250cc, 24 brake horsepower engine. There were a few people who were disappointed in the Rally because it didn't give enough oomph or to elevate the original package as much as it maybe should have done. And there's a way that you could look at it and go, it looks fantastic, but rides kind of underwhelming. But it's that underwhelmingness that has made it a real favourite amongst people who just want a really versatile, usable, affordable, dependable trail machine. So I picked this bike up. This has got 500 miles on the clock. It was bought by the owner over in Norwich who thought it was the bike for him. He fitted the lowering link just to lower the seat height a little bit. And then decided it wasn't for him. He's now switched it for a Harley Davidson, I believe. But the virtues of this, it's just a really easy machine to ride, really docile engine. Not a lot of power, but it's just really manageable. Got a nice riding position. It is torqued initially, but there's a lot of sagging in the suspension, especially with that lowering link. You know, I'm 5'10" and I've got tippy toes on both sides. But it's a light enough bike, 157 kilos, so one of the lightest of the lot. And yeah, if you do a lot of trail riding or travel riding with trails thrown in, I don't think there's a much better bet than the CRF 250 Rally. Okay, so here we've got the Royal Enfield Himalayan. It's a bike that I've done a lot of miles on over the last few years. Not this particular bike, but other bikes that have ridden across America and then back from Bulgaria. It's a bike that I really like because A, it's cheap, but also really usable. Throw on some panniers and you can pretty much go around the world. It's not got a lot of power, but it's got a nice long stroke motor, which means it's really torquey and easy to ride, really tractable on rough terrain. There are a few niggles mechanically. There's head bearings that fail and there's head gaskets that go. But ultimately what you've got is a very durable long distance machine which for £4,500 with panniers, as I say, can take you around the world. This was one bought from Cooper Motorcycles over in Northampton. It's got 3,000 miles on the clock. The previous owner pretty much threw the entire accessories catalogue at it in a sensible way, so a better bash plate, heel guard, Krieger luggage, hand guards, and just little bits and bobs to make it that bit more usable. Cool cover as well. But otherwise, we've got a very stock Royal Enfield Himalayan. I mean, pretty much 200 kilos, it is a bit heavier than the others, and you can definitely feel it heavier when you're moving it around, push it in the van and things like that. But once you're sat on it, it's got a really nice low centre of gravity, which for me makes it a very novice-friendly trail and travel bike. It can sit on motorways at 65 and 70, but at the same time then you can throw it down a dirt track, and as long as ground clearance isn't an issue, you can pretty much go anywhere on it. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what people make of the Himalayan. Okay, so the third bike, we've got the BMW G310 GS, which is the adventure variant of the R version that came out maybe 3 years ago, and this came out just after. 310cc engine, 34 brake horsepower. It's actually quite nice and light. It looks a big sizable machine, but off the stand and moving it around, it's really a nice light bike. It's different to the Himalayan, I think it's a little bit faster on the road. It's maybe not as naturally suited to off-road terrain because it can stall a bit easier if you're not on the throttle to give it a bit of revs at low speeds. So it's a very different bike to the Himalayan. It's a very different bike to the CRF, and it's also very different to the KTM, the fourth bike. But what it is a very usable day-to-day machine, comfortable, good riding position, a good sort of grown-up bike riding position. A lot of space in the cockpit. You've got this and that. This is an optional extra screen, but you've got a lot of sort of fairing to give you some weather protection. Nice handlebars, nice switch gear. There's a nice premium quality to it. Some people criticise it because it's got the cast rims rather than spokes, but realistically, unless you're doing some really hardcore off-roading, you know, cast wheels are absolutely fine. So this is a very different bike to the other four, but maybe it's the one for you. Okay, last but not least, we've got the KTM 390 Adventure, which is the newest bike on the fleet. It only came out this year. It's been a long time coming. People have been waiting a long time for an adventure version of the 390 engine, or the 373cc engine, which it actually is. It's the most powerful bike of the four at 43 brake horsepower, and riding it on the road, it's got a lot more excitement in the engine than the others. It's got a lot more alertness in the chassis and in the handling. The suspension feels better than the others. There are niggles with it. The steering lock on it is terrible, which in a way can make it difficult for new riders. Standing up, it's got quite a cramped, canted forward riding position. The pegs roll you forward and then the bars are quite beneath you. So it's not the most natural off-road bike, but as a bike to tick a lot of boxes, to take you briskly on the road journey and then be able to do a bit of off-roading when you get there, this could be the best compromise of them all. I also like it's really light. On paper it's the same as the GS, but it just feels a really nice, light, manageable machine. Slightly tall seat, a bit higher than the Himalayan, so it's not going to suit everyone. But as a really explosive, fast-paced, small adventure bike, this really could be the one. And price-wise, if you're buying them all brand new, they all sit around £5,500 bar the Himalayan, which sits a bit lower at 4,200. But come down here for the day, ride all four back to back, and basically see which one you prefer best.